Hello everyone, this is Alex the Blue Man, and welcome back to my Spider-Man-a-thon. For today, I'm going to be talking about Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. My goodness, sounds like a long title. But anyways, I was skeptical about this movie because you know how Sony, the company behind the Spider-Man movies, went with the Amazing Spider-Man duology. Though I was interested at the same time because this movie is going to be an animated Spider-Man movie this time around. So that aspect by itself is something I didn't expect until its preview. I heard a lot of people say this is a legit great movie, but unfortunately I haven't seen it in theaters due to, time and money. But since I have now on Blu-ray, it's now finally my time to say my thoughts and views on the feature. So, did the Spider-Verse really have a different side of greatness to the character? Let's figure it out. As with the previous videos, this will contain some spoilers, so don't watch this video if you haven't seen the movie yet. In the movie, this time around, the focus is not on Peter Parker himself. Instead, this is about a character named Miles Morales, who is a clumsy oaf who we see try to adapt to his abilities while helping the other Spider people from the multiverse defeat his world's version of the Kingpin and deactivate and destroy the machine that sent all of them to his dimension in the first place. This is like a race against time movie. As it's stated, if any character stays in a different dimension for too long, they'll soon disappear. For the positives, I do like that they're putting a focus on a different character. Will they do different stuff and scenarios with him? I believe so. His interactions with the other spider-related characters were pretty hilarious to watch. The animation was really different from what I'm used to seeing. Everything, even the characters' skins, look as if they're taken from a comic book, though I could see it could give a few people seizures. Normally I don't talk about the songs used in any movie, but the songs used here are used very appropriately. From the Sunflower song by Post Malone, used in the beginning and the end, to the I'm Not Scared song used for the city's mourning of the original Spider-Man, to finally the What's Up Danger song when Miles Morales finally has his own spirit of a superhero and travels to Fisk Tower or whatever. That part, I admit, gives me goosebumps. The fight scenes were intense to see, and I can say a couple of examples. Spider-Man taking on Goblin and the Prowler, and the Spider Squad taking on a female Doc Ock, Tombstone, and Scorpion. And also Prowler was also there. And finally, Miles taking on Kingpin all by himself. All of that was intense, and in some cases ended in a dark way, which gives certain past moments or future moments deep meaning. For the negatives, there were two montages where Miles gets pressured to the max. Those were too much to handle, whether he'd be getting left behind in class or the other Spider people pressuring him during training time. The first montage is understandable, but the other one? Holy crud, that's too much. Like, hey, he just got his powers a day or two ago. He can't just automatically know the other things that you do. Those were my inner thoughts when it comes to that moment. The third one, which I forgot to mention, is that one scene when Miles meets Spider-Gwen for the first time. Well, not actually the first time, but that's not the point here. What's cringy about it is he randomly puts his hand on her shoulder, and then somehow his hand gets stuck on her hair. It was pretty hard to watch. I would freak out even more if the end result was part of her hair being ripped off by accident. For the characters, there are quite a lot, but since this is an animated feature, it works much better because if it's in live action, it would feel all too cramped up. Let's start with Miles Morales. The best thing I can say of him is he gets pressured a lot. Like there are so many things going on his plate, whether that happens, he visits his uncle's place for a mental cool-off. When he gets the spider powers, things took a toll for the worst of him. He has to be the new Spider-Man after the death of his world's version of Peter Parker. After he has that enough encouragement and control of his abilities is where he finally gets to shine. That's where the movie gets more serious, intense, and epic. All of the calamity from him is forgiven as long as the payoff is amazing, no pun intended. And did I get that payoff? Yes, I did. There's Peter B. Parker, who is the original Spider-Man from another dimension. He is like a wreckage of his former self. His Aunt May passed on, his relationship with MJ is destroyed, and he's gone fat. He's just a metaphorical mess who was forced to teach Miles how to be Spider-Man. The dynamic between the two goes two ways, from hilarious to caring. There are other characters, which are Spider-Gwen, Spider-Man Noir, Penny Parker and Spitter, and Spider-Ham. Spider-Gwen's background is being in a world where she's the main spider-based hero, and her world's version of Peter Parker is the Lizard. Not much to say about her, but for the other three, in terms of aesthetics, they look very unique in their own way. Noir comes from a 30s black and white setting, Penny and Spitter come from an anime setting, and Spider-Ham comes from pardon all that stuttering. He comes from a cheesy Looney Tunes cartoon setting. I wanted to say that's a case of Uncanny Valley, but luckily, it all works, in a comedic standpoint, and an action standpoint. For the villains, most of them are just one-note major bad guys at best. There's the Prowler, Ultimate Green Goblin, Scorpion, Tombstone, and female Doc Ock. The standout from him was, with all of them I mean, was Prowler. Until his identity reveal later in the film, he was like a mysterious villain. He has a ghostly vibe into him, like the Predator or Terminator. And finally there's Wilson Fisk, or the Kingpin. I will say this, the guy gives me a couple of vibes I've had with his Netflix Daredevil incarnation. Unpredictable and mentally unstable, hating Spider-Man with a passion. He just felt like a mix of himself and Helmut Zemo from Captain America Civil War, because his main motivation is a dead family. After watching this movie, it makes me regret not seeing it in theaters. The cringy moments and scenes I have seen, it doesn't bother me when I looked into this movie as a whole. This is different from the other Spider-Man movies before it, but this time, it's a very good type of different. If you haven't seen this movie, definitely buy it then watch it. I will warn you though, the animation can look trippy, so be careful or you might have a seizure. I am going to give Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse a 9 out of 10. Holy crud, that was a lot of time I had to get through the past Spider-Man movies. And finally, on to Far From Home. It just makes me happy that I'm getting these videos out of the way. Not uploading them just gives me a sense of unfinished space. But I'm just glad it'll all be over soon. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for watching. Don't forget to like this video, comment down your thoughts on this movie, and as usual, I hope you all have a great, blurific day.